Hello and welcome to the Next in our webinar series. Today we're focusing solely on undergraduate enrolment. So joining me today we have our two resident experts. So Trent is a student service officer in our Future Students department, and Christina is also a student service officer but works in our Current Students department. So hopefully between us all we can answer any questions you may have about enrolment, orientation, and just getting started generally. First of all, we'd just like to say big congratulations to all of you who received an offer. We know UAC offers went out yesterday, so a lot of you are probably very happy right now, so big congratulations. The hard part is now over. Now it's just really time to get down to the nitty-gritty, get enrolled in your course and everything else like that. So we may as well get started with how do you find out where and what time you're enrolling?
Okay, so the first step is just to pop onto the UOW website and log into the Get Started page. What you need to do there is just fill in all your details onto the online application, your name, the course that you have an offer to, the campus that you'll be studying at, and your full name. What will happen is you'll click Submit, and what will come up will be your details of your enrolment day, okay? So that'll give you the enrolment day, the enrolment time, and the enrolment location, okay? So it's as simple as that. There is a situation where you may be doing a double degree. You can have a look on the Get Started website and have a look at the fact that the double degrees are all being enrolled on one particular day. So if you do pop in your double degree on that form and you get a conflicting time, you can actually pop onto the actual calendar of enrolment days and you'll see that they're all enrolling on the 27th of January on the Wednesday, except for the law double degrees, okay?
So what's happening with law double degrees? They have their own special day?
Okay, so the law double degrees, if you pop in your that law double degree into the online application, you'll get the date of that enrolment. I'll just double check with one of our enrolment officers here for the law double degree. But generally speaking, that online application form will give you the exact date and time of the degree that you're popping in there. But I'm just checking that for you.
While we're doing that, when I gave a brief introduction, I did forget to say, be sure to ask any questions you may have, pop them in. We're going to be answering them live. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer them. If you're watching a playback of this video later on, and there's a question that comes up that we haven't answered today, be sure to send us an email or give us a call so we can be reached on 1300 367 869, or you can send us an email at future-students@uow.edu.au. So we're happy to help.
Okay, and just the question with your law double degrees, Adam, the 29th of January is where your law double degree will be enrolled. So if you have an offer to a double degree in law, just pop to the university on the 29th of January and you'll get all your information on your enrolment on that day. Okay?
Okay, fantastic. And some of our students will have offers for our regional campuses, so in Batemans Bay, Shore Harbour, Shorehaven, Bega and Southern Sydney. So are they enrolling on the same days or do they have a different day?
Okay, so if you're popping in your campus on that online form, you will get a different enrolment day for those campuses. So our regional campuses have enrolment days from the 11th to the 12th of February. So once you pop in that regional campus in there, the particular date and time of that enrolment will also pop up.
Okay, fantastic. And I guess the next main question would be, what's actually going to take place on enrolment day?
Okay, so we always encourage our students to pop down to the university for their enrolment day because there's lots of course advice and information on choosing your majors, information and assistance on enrolling into your subjects. So it's important that you pop along to your specific enrolment day because it is designated for that particular degree. So we have got the specific faculty advisors there to assist you in planning your degree. You'll get assistance in enrolling into your subjects. You'll be issued your student card. You'll get some information on choosing your billing type, on how you want to pay your fees throughout your studies. And then also there'll be the first year expo that's being held during the enrolment days. And so there'll be 25 stalls of a variety of food and music. So it's a good opportunity to come along and get all your enrolment sorted and have a good time at the same time. So so there's plenty to do and plenty to learn on that day.
Okay, fantastic. And Trent, I'll pass this one on to you. So some students, especially those who applied directly, they may have a condition on their offer. So how do they go about clearing that condition and checking if they have a condition?
Yeah, that's correct. So, first of all, for the UAC students, you don't have anything to worry about. You won't have any conditions on your offer, so you're free to enrol, which is great. For those direct applicants, if you do have a condition, it will be listed on your offer letter. So, for example, some may have a condition to provide citizenship to us. It's quite straightforward. It will explain in your offer letter how to do so. Something that is important is to make sure you remember that any documents that we do request to meet these conditions, they do need to be certified documents. So they need to be signed by a Justice of the Peace or another authority who is capable of certifying a document. And just provide those to us prior to enrolment would be best. That way we can make sure you have a smooth and fairly easy enrolment on the day. And yeah, it's as easy as that, really.
Yeah, and some of our students, they would be applying on, say they've already done a diploma through TAFE, or they might have done some studies at another institution. If they want to apply for credit based on those studies, what do they need to bring along?
Yeah, that is quite a common occurrence at enrolment. They should bring with them their transcripts from that previous study and any additional documentation regarding the specific subjects they've studied. So, for example, if you have studied at another institution, often you'll have subject outlines that go into a bit more detail about what was involved in the subjects. That will make it a much easier process for our staff to award credit where it's appropriate. So if you can bring transcripts and any additional subject-related documentation, that would be great.
Okay, and we've got a couple of questions come through, which is fantastic. So Monica's asking, during enrolment, do we only enroll in our classes or electives as well? So Christina, did you want to answer that one?
So during enrolment, you're enrolling into your subjects, okay, and that can be electives. Generally speaking, though, you'd be enrolling into as first-year students all your core subjects,
Yep.
And then before you're enrolling into your electives, you'd probably be having a chat with a course advisor or a faculty advisor. But that usually may happen after your first session. So the first thing you'd be doing is enrolling into your first lot of subjects, which would be your core subjects, and that's usually four for a full-time study load.
Yeah, and in some cases you will have an elective component in either your first or second session, and that's one of the great advantages of coming into the enrolment session and speaking to the academic advisors, because they're going to help you with your subject selection. So if there's a particular elective that you have your eye on that sounds really interesting to you, they'll be able to let you know whether you can enroll in it, when it's available. Sometimes second year subjects might have prerequisites and things like that, so they'll just make sure that you're eligible for it, and if you are, they'll help you get enrolled into that one. So another question has come through from Kaylani asking, do we choose subjects for the whole first year and our majors on enrolment day? So Trent, did you want to answer that one?
Yeah, sure. So basically, yes, you will be choosing subjects for your first year. The academic advisors there will be able to guide you. As Adam was saying earlier, it might be that you need to do a specific subject in your first session to then enrol in a subject in your second session, but you'll be able to get all of that advice on the day. So, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And Alana's asked, what happens if I want to use HEX but I don't have my tax file number by enrolment day?
Yeah, that's a great question. Don't stress. We would encourage you to apply for your tax file number as soon as possible to get that started, because I believe it does take a couple of weeks. But you do have up until what we call the census date. That date is the 31st of March for autumn session. So long as you provide your tax file number to us prior to that date, you'll still be able to access HEX and defer your fees if you wish.
Okay, fantastic. And Ruth is asking, can we look at what subjects and classes we may choose before enrolment day?
Yeah, you sure can. So you can have a look at your course handbook, which you can find on the UIW website under current students. You can open up that document and have a look at all the core subjects that you're required to complete under that degree. And all the subjects listed in that course handbook are hyperlinked. So you can actually click on the subject, that'll open up the subject for you, and you can have a look at what sort of subjects you'll be studying under that degree. So there's a brief subject description, an objective of that subject as well. And there's also the price of that subject if you're a Commonwealth supported student as well. So yeah, you've got access to that before you actually come to enrolment, which is a good idea to sort of have a look at that before you attend your enrolment day.
Fantastic. We're getting lots of questions coming through. I love it. So Ali is asking, I've accepted my offer through UAC and through the UAW website. Do I need to do anything else between now and enrolment day? Trent, did you want?
You're pretty much free, Ali, so you've done everything right, which is great. We will have your acceptance in our system, so really all you need to do is come along to enrolment. Now, there are a couple of things that you can bring with you on the day that would really help us out. So if you can bring along your birth certificate or your passport, if you can bring along your tax file number, as I was saying earlier, if you're planning on deferring your fees, if you have some photo ID as well, that would be great. And that will just really speed up the process for you. So yeah, but that's it.
Fantastic. And Regan is asking, how does deferring work? If not, if I'm not sure, should I still accept my offer and attend enrolment day, or should they hold off for the moment?
Yeah, sure. So if you're uncertain about deferring, that's fine. It can be a tough decision to make. Basically, if you want to attend enrolment, that's fine. You're more than welcome to. You can enroll in your subjects just as everyone else will. You'll have up to the census date, as I was saying earlier, to make your decision as to whether or not you wish to defer without incurring any financial penalty. So if you do enroll, even if you do start studying and think, oh, I'm not quite ready, I'd like some more time, I'm going to defer, that's fine. So long as you submit that to us prior to the 31st, that's not a problem. So just make sure on that note that if you have enrolled, you must withdraw from those subjects prior to the 31st. That way you won't incur that financial penalty.
And I guess that kind of leads to another point. For those students who are looking to take a gap year or even just 6 months, how do they go about deferring their offer? What do they need to do?
Yeah, no worries. So the most straightforward way to go about it is to jump on our website. You can just search on our website for defer offer, and it will bring up the deferral request form. You'll just need to fill in a few of your details and submit that to us, and then we'll process it for you. Now, if you don't hear straight away with your updated offer, don't stress. That's because we will actually process all of these after that very important census date, which I keep referring to, on the 31st of March. So you'll likely hear from us with your updated offer sometime in April. So, yeah.
Okay, great. And I've got a question from Natasha, who's asking, how do classes and timetables work? So she's doing a BA in History and English Lit. She's asking how to work with credit points. Christina, do you want to give a quick rundown of how that'll work?
So with credit points, so generally speaking, your full-time study load is a 24 credit point session. So what you're looking at in your first year would be your 6 credit points for each subject, which is 24 credit points. I think, are we talking about how subject?
Yeah, I think she's asking, how many subjects will she need to enroll in? Does she need to organise that ahead of time? How is she going to timetable it? All these kind of questions.
Okay, so if you've made a decision that you will start your degree on a full-time basis, that would be over 3 subjects, so 3 or 4 subjects. You can have a look at your course handbook before you come to enrolment. I mean, if we're talking about having other commitments, like work commitments, which is very common for students, they may want to have a look at the course handbook before they enrol and have a look at the subjects and when the lectures and tutorials are going to be held.
Yeah.
And that information is available from the course handbook by clicking the subjects, because they're hyperlinked. You can actually look at the lecture times and when the tutorials will be available. So a lot of students do have a look at that before they enrol and make a decision on how many subjects they'll enrol into. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, if it's got to do with maybe advanced standing and whether we can carry that through, if we can get that question come across a little bit later as well. Or
And one thing we could also just quickly brush over is how many hours you'd be expected to attend per class. So as Christina mentioned, usually 4 subjects is going to be considered a full-time study load. And it does vary from faculty to faculty how many contact hours per subject you'll be required to attend. For something within the arts faculty, such as English Lit and History, generally most of your subjects are only going to be around 3 or 4 contact hours per week. But there is obviously that expectation that you're committing a similar amount of time for self-directed study, so doing your readings, doing your assignments, studying for exams, those kind of things. If you're doing that, then you're going to hold yourself in pretty good stead. And then how many days you're on campus, it really just depends on how your timetable works out. So as we kind of touched on, your lectures are going to be set, so you don't have much choice in those, but where you really do get a lot of choice and flexibilities with your tutorials, which is where you go into a smaller class and you're going over the week's content in a little bit more detail with a smaller class. Those ones, you'll have a range of different options that you can choose from, and that's when you start structuring your timetable how it suits you best. So with something like a Bachelor of Arts, as long as you timetable yourself fairly well, you should only be on campus hopefully around 3 days per week. 4 at the absolute worst usually. Another question that I believe I missed from Shana, she was asking how much do enrolment fees normally cost?
Okay, so an enrolment fee, tuition fees are based per subject.
Yep.
So if it isn't an enrolment fee, so basically if you enroll into 4 subjects, you'll be charged tuition fees per subject. So if you're a domestic student, the fee for that subject, like I said, is available on your course handbook by clicking the actual subject. So yeah, it does vary between faculties. So if you wanted to have a look at your course handbook, click the subjects that you're actually planning on enrolling, or the ones that are your core subjects for that degree. You can actually add those up and calculate that as a total for the session. And then you've also got your administration fee per session, okay? So that's your student amenities fee.
So
we
what
wouldn't be
does
able.
that fee go towards?
So your student amenities fee, it's a service amenities fee. So basically it's not part of your tuition. So it goes towards funding that the university manage to provide services to students such as that are usually complimentary and free. So that means your legal services and your counselling, and sometimes it may be a kitchen facility in a faculty that students have access to. So if you wanted a bit of information on where that service and amenities fee actually goes towards, there's a brilliant website on our UIW site, and it gives you a little bit of information on where those funds have gone and some of the programs that have been developed by us, and so it's great.
Okay. And just bear in mind, just in case there's any confusion just with that question, I just want to make it clear. There's no upfront costs associated with enrolling in your degree. All of your tuition fees and the SAF that Christina mentioned, you can defer that via HexHelp if you'd like. Otherwise, you can make those upfront payments. But in terms of do you need to pay a fee to enroll or anything, there's no fees. The only real upfront costs that you're going to be looking at is when you start buying new textbooks and any workbooks and stationery, those kind of things. But in terms of fees for enrolling, there's nothing like that. Trent, we've got a question that I'm going to pass on to you. What is a Dean Scholar program, and what advantages does that offer for those of you who have got an offer for Dean Scholar?
Yeah, sure. So a Dean Scholar is a targeted program for high achieving students. So it does have that little bit higher ATAR. Basically, the content that you study will be the same as your peers who are studying just the straight bachelor's degree. You just get some added bonuses. So you will receive a $500 textbook allowance with our uni shop here on campus, which is great for purchasing all your books and supplies. You'll also receive access to a Dean Scholar sort of study area within each of the faculties that's dedicated solely for fellow Dean Scholar students. And probably the best asset that you'll gain from it is having a mentor within the faculty, so an academic mentor who you can go and discuss your classes, if you're not sure of something, if you're having trouble with assignments, and they can also assist you with planning your degree and planning what's next after your degree. So it's a real asset to have access to that kind of advice.
So congratulations to those of you who have got into Dean Scholars. Ali's also asking, are there any scholarships still available, Christina?
You could probably contact our scholarships office at the university. So just by popping on to our website and popping in the scholarships into the search engine, the closing dates vary for all the different scholarships. So I wouldn't be able to sort of confirm which scholarships are still available and what the closing dates are. So there are various scholarships available to domestic and international students, but the best thing to do is just pop onto the scholarships website, find out which ones you may be eligible for, and all the various closing times and the closing dates for those. Okay.
And just bear in mind, even if you have missed scholarship cut-offs for this year, you are still eligible to apply for scholarships for your future intakes, your second, third, or even fourth year. Many scholarships have single year scholarship offerings, so you could definitely still apply if there's something that you feel that you're eligible for, but you maybe didn't get your application in on time or anything like that. You're still welcome to apply. So we're getting some more tutorial and timetabling questions. So Monica's asking, do we specify which tutorial we would like to take, and also when do we sign up for a timetable? So, Christina, did you want to?
Yeah, I think Trent's the most recent student, but I think we all agree that it's a good idea to mock up a timetable.
Definitely.
So, getting access to your subjects, subject timetable off the web, and having a look at which tutorials you'd like to be into, you'd like to be enrolled into. And then that way, when they do become available for you to enrol into, you sort of know which ones you want to choose, because when they do become available, Trent, you know how competitive it is to get those ones.
Yeah, very true. So
Friday morning ones or Friday afternoon.
It is definitely to your advantage to make sure you're aware of when those tutorials are opening, so that way you have the best chance of getting your first preference. So there will definitely be spaces available for everyone, but just in terms of scheduling and getting the best possible outcome for yourself, just make sure you're there at the right time.
Yeah. So I think students, a couple of people, it looks like they're a bit worried about not knowing when they're going to open. So I think it's really important to stress you don't need to worry about enrolling in tutorials just yet. It's going to be a little bit down the track before you'll start enrolling. So when you come along to your enrolment day, you'll get enrolled in all your subjects. You'll then gain access to what's called the Student Online Services Portal, or SOLS for short. So that's where you'll be able to access all of your lecture materials and things like that, but you'll also be able to check your timetable and also when your tutorial times will open. So once you're all sorted next week, you've enrolled in your courses, you'll be able to log on to that and it'll tell you the exact day and time of when your tutorial preferences will open. And it'll also tell you exactly what the various tutorial options are, and then it's up to you to pick the ones that best suit you. So it's usually best to have a first and a second backup preference, or even a third one just in case. So have a couple of backups ready to go, and then you can sort of do a preliminary timetable, work it out, and then hopefully if all things go in your favour, you get your first preference for everything. If not, you're usually going to get your second preference. So it does seem a little bit scary, and it is competitive, but it's definitely not the end of the world, and it's not too bad to go through. Ash is asking, and I'll ask our resident double degree person, are the course loads heavier for those students who do a double degree?
Okay, so basically how double degrees work is that they normally span over 4.5 years. Sometimes if they're involving law, they're a little bit longer. But essentially, instead of doing the two courses individually and completing all components, you sacrifice a few of the electives from each, and then you merge them together. But you won't be taking on any more subjects per semester than any other student who's doing a single degree. So don't stress that you're going to have twice as much work to do as your friend who's doing a single degree. That's not how it works. So your degree will have a slightly longer duration, but you'll still study the same amount per session as all other students.
Fantastic. And just another question regarding Dean Scholars. Do they have the same enrolment day as every other student? Yeah,
they definitely do.
Okay, fantastic. And Ali is also asking, when do we get a list of textbooks and stationery that we require for a specific course?
Yeah, okay. That's a great question. If you know your subject codes, as Christina was referring to earlier, you can find those out in the course handbook. You can jump on our Unishop website, put in the subject code, and it will bring up any textbook information. Now, at the moment, that may not quite be there yet because the lecturers and subject coordinators might not have finalised what resources they're going to be using. So don't stress if you do that and you can't see anything at the moment. closer to the start date, that's information will start to appear. And then during your first week at your first classes, your lecturers will tell you exactly what you need for the rest of the semester.
Yeah, so when you go to your lecture, they're going to give you a subject outline and it's going to tell you exactly what you need in terms of your textbooks. If there's anything else, like for example, some of the science degrees, you might need to buy a lab coat, protective glasses, those kind of things. What we could also mention is the Unishop website where you can chuck in your subject code and it'll tell you the exact textbook that you need as well. So if you want to buy it ahead of time and be organised, that's fantastic. Otherwise, most students will just buy it in their first week or even in O week. So it's good to be on top of things, but it's not something you need to stress about right now. And a question that we sometimes get as well is just what stationery do I need? Do I need a particular type of laptop? Those kind of questions, it's always just a case of what works best for you in terms of your computer. We have Macs and PCs on campus in our computer labs and everything like that, so it's completely up to you. In terms of calculators, we do have very specific calculators that are available at the Unishop. If you do need a specified one, it will be advised, but the ones on sale at the Unishop, the prescribed ones, they are approved because the examiners and things have a very specific type of calculator that they like our students to use. But the friendly staff at the Unishop will definitely know what they're talking about and they'll be able to point you in the right direction of which one you'll need.
The other thing when it comes to that, I think if you do have a calculator, there's really no need to go and purchase a new one. You can just pop onto the University of Wollongong website, type in calculators in the search engine, and what will come up is the approved list of calculators. If yours is on there, then you don't need to buy a new one. If it isn't on there, there's also a list of ones that aren't eligible. So if it's on that one, then you can't use it. If it isn't, you may be able to actually request that the one that you do have, because we know that they're quite pricey. The one that you do have may be assessed for eligibility. So just pop onto the website, have a look at the calculators page. It's quite informative. Yeah.
Okay, great. And Samantha's asking, so she submitted a deferral request and she wants to know what happens from here.
Okay, no worries, Samantha. So you should receive over the next couple of days or the next week or so just an email back from us acknowledging that you've submitted your request and that it's being processed. As I was saying earlier, don't stress, you probably won't receive your updated offer from us for a little while yet, and that's because deferral requests are processed after our census date on the 31st of March, so you should hear from us with your updated offer sometime in April. So once you've got that acknowledgement from us, there's nothing more you need to do and we'll be in touch with you in a couple of months' time.
Fantastic. And Ruth is asking, how many elective subjects do we choose or can we choose? I'll pass it on to you, but the short answer is it depends.
It depends, yeah. It depends on the degree. You'd have to look at your course handbook. Some degrees don't have much room for any electives, and there's some degrees that have quite a huge chunk of their degree base with electives. So you'd have to have a look at your degree course handbook. Please have a look at that on the website. It'll give you all the information that you need in regards to how many electives are accepted in that degree. So that's, yeah, you're right. It's so different and it varies so much that we wouldn't be able to give a straight answer for that one.
Yeah, and that's one of the advantages of having a chat with the academic advisors when you come into enrolment. They're going to be able to help you with that. And throughout your studies, you're always going to have access to your course coordinator. So if you ever have any concerns about, am I on track for graduation? Am I enrolling in the right amount of subjects? Have I done the right core subjects? Do I need to do electives from a first or second year level? All those kind of questions. It's always going to be in your course handbook, but if you ever have any queries or concerns, your course coordinator is going to be able to help you out with that. So it's nothing to stress about at this stage. We're also getting a question, what happens in tutorials as opposed to lectures?
Yeah, sure. So in lectures, that's when you'll be with all of your peers doing that subject. So it can, in some instances, be quite a large group. And that's where your lecturer will go over the course content for that particular week. There will always be a presentation and just go over it in a broad sense. Whereas the tutorials are much smaller groups where you'll work with your tutor through that content that's been provided. There may be questions that you have to ask. The tutor may also set tasks for you to do to make sure that you're getting on top of that knowledge. So Yeah, that's essentially how it
Yeah.
works for us.
And some of you, particularly those who are doing a science or maybe engineering, those kind of degrees, you might have things like workshops or labs, computer labs even, those kind of things. They're all kind of a similar thing of what Trent's just explained with tutorials, but obviously with science degrees, it's going to be a lab setting, so you're putting that knowledge into practice and doing it in real life. So that's one of the real advantages of doing the tutorials. Another question we received is, on the 3 orientation days, will there be things to do on campus during the day, or is it just the set events? So I guess what are the main things that are happening on
Yeah.
the day?
So orientation is a great couple of days because really there is so much happening on campus. So in addition to the sort of faculty-specific presentations that it's great to attend, there will be clubs and societies will be on campus. There will be music, live music, food stalls. Just a lot of different events happening throughout the day. It's great to get involved. It's great to go and talk to people, especially within those clubs and societies, because one of the best ways to really feel at home at university is to get involved. So I definitely encourage anyone who's maybe a bit hesitant and a bit nervous, just throw yourself in and you'll definitely have the best time.
Okay, that's fantastic. It looks like we're starting to get to the end of our questions, so we'll wrap it up shortly. If anyone has any last minute questions, be sure to chuck them in now and we'll get back to you. If, as I mentioned before, if there's anything that we've missed or you want us to go over in more detail, especially if it's specific to your circumstances and you want to have a one-on-one chat, please do call us on 1300 367 869. We'll be more than happy to help. If you'd rather email us, it's futurestudents@uow.edu.au. You can also catch us on our Facebook page. We have the UOW Future Students Facebook page, and there's also a Current Students page. Either one is fine. Trent here will be responding to you. He's managing that page. So if you want to have a chat with Trent, he will be happy to help you out with any questions.
Always welcome.
Oh, we do have one more question come through. Do you have to inform someone if you cannot attend the normal enrolment day for the late enrolment? That's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked it, Ali.
That is a great question. If you're certain, we really do encourage you to come to the main enrolment period if you can, just because, as we've been talking about, those academic advisors will be present on the day. So it will just really make it a smooth process for you. If you absolutely can't because you're not in the country or you're on holidays or you just can't make it, a late enrolment period is there for you. It would be great if you can just jump on our Get Started website and register for that, just so that we know how many numbers of students will be attending that late enrolment period. That would be very much appreciated.
Okay.
I just further to that, I think the late enrolment period is scheduled for the 18th and 19th of February.
Yep.
If you already know, however, that you won't be able to make that enrolment day as well, you need to contact us at Student Central to assist you with your later enrolment. And you won't be back in time. If you won't be back even into session, 2 weeks into session, we'd like you to get in contact with us so we can assist you with enrolling prior to actually getting back into the country if you're on holidays, or maybe requesting that you think about a deferral if you're gonna be later than 3 weeks. Is it, Adam? Into session?
Yeah, so the absolute latest you are able to enrol is 2 weeks into the course. If you can't make it to classes before then, you're already going to be at a pretty big disadvantage. So generally, you won't be allowed to enrol in. So what we would encourage you to do is to simply submit a deferral request to the next available intake. So we can issue an offer for the mid-year intake if it's applicable to your degree. A lot of the degrees do have a mid-year intake. Otherwise, we can defer it to 2017 and you can just come along then. And you just mentioned, for those who absolutely can't make either of the enrolment periods, they need to get in touch. What are the details they need?
Okay, so they just need to pop us an email at studentcentral at askuow@uow.edu.au, or just give us a call on 4221 3927 at Student Central. What we'll do is we'll assist them with the late enrolment. So it needs a little bit, we need to sort of help the student over the phone or via email in regards to making sure that they're on track and not disadvantaged greatly because they haven't attended a designated enrolment day. But like you said, if it's going to be later than the 2 weeks into session, then they'd have to probably contact the Future Students Department and think about a deferral.
Yeah, fantastic. And another question from Regan, who's asking, how long does the enrolment normally take? Probably 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours.
It's a good amount of time. Hopefully it should be 2 or less, but it's always good to allow enough time. And that's one of the reasons it is important for you to come along to your designated time so everything runs smoothly. So particular faculties will have their own designated day, but when you chuck in your details on the Get Started page, it'll tell you the exact time you should come along. So that's based on alphabetical order of your surname. So that's to make sure that we don't get 200 people all rock up at once and want to speak to an academic for their advice. As long as you're coming along to your designated time, that'll help things run really smoothly and it'll go quickly for everyone. If you can make it to that day but you got work in the afternoon or something, you really just need to come in the morning, that's fine. But as much as possible, we do want you guys to come along to that designated time because it just makes things easier for everyone. And Ash is asking, how do we know what subjects in the course handbook will count towards our degree?
It will state it. Like, have a look at the course handbook. It's quite easy to follow. It will actually show you which ones are the core subjects. It'll actually say core, and those are subjects that are compulsory for your degree.
Yep.
And then it'll give you options of electives, so that it'll say out of the next 4 subjects, choose 2. So it's quite simple to use. But like Trent said, if you're still a little bit confused and sort of not sure, that's where the enrolment day will be handy, and you can have a chat to a course advisor there. But it's quite clear and easy to use the course handbook.
Yeah, and it might seem a little bit tricky at first if you're having a look at the course handbook. It might not make a lot of sense, but once you get enrolled, even after your first session, it'll all start making sense to you. How credit points work, what your core subjects are, what your elective subjects are, subjects towards your major, all those kind of things. It's not something you need to stress about at this time, but it's always good to be on top of these things. But when you enroll, generally speaking, your academic advisors will help select your whole first year of subjects, so autumn and spring session. So you're going to be in pretty good stead for that first year. And by that stage, you should be pretty comfortable with how the course handbook works and what subjects you'll need to be enrolling in. But as we said, if you do have any questions or any concerns, particularly if you're studying part-time, so you're taking a slightly different study sequence to the average full-time student, you're always welcome to have a chat with your faculty and they're going to be able to help you make sure you're enrolling in the right subjects. Okay, Andrew is asking, when designing a mock timetable, do we include both autumn and spring sessions or just autumn for now?
It's really up to you. As Adam was saying though, you will get that advice for the whole of the year, but if you're doing a mock timetable, you can just focus on the autumn session. So you can just limit it to about 4 subjects for that particular session. The reason for that is that at the moment, spring session subjects aren't available in that mock timetable. They will become available in around April. So once it gets to then, you can jump back on that mock timetable and go for your life.
Fantastic. I think we've got another question. Ruth is asking, looking at the course structure for my course, Bachelor of Journalism, it says that I choose 48 credit points from other electives. What does this mean?
Yeah, I think Law, Humanities and Arts, or the School of Arts, English and the Media, particularly journalism and creative arts, they're quite structured degrees. So when it's saying, I think, choosing electives, choosing electives
from other electives, she said.
Okay, so I think the students enrolled in that degree are free to choose electives from the general schedule, which you can also find on the course handbook, or electives from any school within the Law, Humanities and Arts faculty. Not entirely sure if those students are allowed to choose electives from other faculties that count towards the journalism, but the student will need to double check that with the course advisor, because I do understand that there are degrees that are quite structured, and knowing that journalism is one of those, the student will need to double check that with the course advisors that will be there on enrolment.
Okay, fantastic. Well, it looks like that's about it for our questions. So thanks so much for joining us, guys. We hope we've helped answer all of your questions. As I mentioned before, anything that pops up, please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on receiving your offer once more, and we can't wait to see you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.
the top. It's just a really good feeling to watch the sunrise and just talk about life and what we've all been up to. I'm developing a ocean-faring vessel wave-induced energy conversion device. It will store the energy of the boat as it rolls along the wave.
We've been fortunate to be able to build a research group with global credibility. What's brought them here are these incredible world-class facilities that we've created over the last few years. We have the ability in this integrated research facility to undertake very fundamental research and new discoveries. We've developed three-dimensional printers that can extrude and create three-dimensional scaffolds. We've even developed inks that will facilitate the printing of living cells for use in the muscle and nerve regeneration programs.
It's pushed my limits in terms of the way I perceive things in the past. In classes we do group work, and you hear so many different viewpoints and you go, oh, okay, it's really interesting, and I would never have thought like that. And it just really pushes you and allows you to become a lot more open-minded.
I've seen it happen so many times, hundreds of times in my 20-odd years, and I never get bored by watching that exciting process, seeing young people transform themselves into individuals that are really willing to take on big challenges, and they're capable of doing it.
It's made me more equipped when I go out into real life. You actually know what's going on, you know how things work now, you know what's about to come at you. You're not going to just be put in the deep end.
I've really had a soft spot for Wollongong. Whenever I have the opportunity to talk to people about the university I went to, I love telling them the fact that it's Wollongong. My name's Bronwyn Evans. I'm a senior engineer and CEO of Standards Australia. One of the things that makes UOW stand out for me is the passion and the excellence of the staff. It's that link to local industry, but it's also the big worldview that UOW has and that vision of being an important player internationally.
We're doing things here at UOW that are changing the world, so don't think that you can't change the world. But that requires a lot of hard work. It requires passion and it requires commitment to do it. And it requires that passion and commitment sometimes over very sustained periods. You must be a very determined person with that passion and commitment, and you can make a difference to the world.